we have a couple of very fascinating articles that are all interrelated, and they seemingly have nothing to do with each other, but they all have a common thread of the average person being distracted in life. Billionaire CEO Stephen Schwarzman of Blackstone saying people didn't work hard enough. The man who's worth $32 billion, people didn't work hard enough during the lockdowns, and while people were doing remote work. Very interesting, very, very interesting, coming from a man worth $32 billion. So you could say there's no one better to understand what's going on and to give an opinion on that. You could say there's no worse person to give his opinion on that. However, I think it's fascinating when you have people that are distracted, as the article goes into talk about. There were many people distracted, right, wrong, or indifferent. There were many people distracted with their work, possibly because they were trying to deal with the lockdowns, dealing with them not being able to go anywhere. Their kids can't go to school. Their kids can't go to the daycares, things of that nature. That's a whole separate can of worms that we have railed against a million times here. The Fiat mind virus that has perpetrated society the last 100 years. A tenet, the fifth tenet of a plank of the Communist Manifesto, central banking, that has sped up everyone's time horizons. It's raised everyone's time preference. So people are working for the weekend, as they say. They are making decisions that are in their short-term interest and not their long-term interest. And because of that, you have people not saving because they can't save. You can't save a dollar. You can't save a yen or a peso, any fiat currencies, because it loses value over time. So you can't save it. There's no point. So you can't save for the future. When things like this happen, there's nothing to bank on. When you're locked down and you don't even have a month of savings, you can't. We've all seen the stats of a $400 emergency. Most people don't have it in America. 50, 60, 70% of people can't even afford a $400 emergency or a $1,000 emergency. That's because of the fiat currency. We let the people at the top issue and steal our time and energy. If we had actual money, if you had actual sound hard money that increased in value, held its value or increased its value over the long term, you wouldn't have that problem. If they were locking everyone down, most people would then be able to say, okay, I will be able to sit around and take care of my family. I'll be able to homeschool them or do whatever it takes for 6 months or a year while you guys get things sorted out. That's wonderful. Or not locked down at all. If people would have said, screw you, I've got enough wealth in the bank because I've been saving properly, but I've been saving an asset, sound money, instead of a liability. Saving fiat liabilities, you can become poor over time. So now you're at the behest of your employer. Now you're at the mercy of the person you work for saying, you must put this in your body, or you must go home, or you must come into the office, and now there's nothing you can do. And that's also a little bit of difference of an employee mentality versus an entrepreneur mentality, where an entrepreneur generally gets to set their own terms. But still, when you have this, the broader issue is the money that we're working with, the currency that we're using. The fiat system is so broken that it's infected the entire society. So now we have things like this because of the distractions, because of so much going on and so many problems. We now have these other articles where the shots that everyone took, this is right on CNN, buried, mind you, below the fold, the shots that people took may slightly increase the risk of stroke, and this is the headline, might increase the stroke in older adults, particularly when administered with certain flu vaccines. Might be something that we wanted to know years ago. However, when we go back to this other article, when people are distracted, they're not working as hard because they have a million other things going on and trying to get by with this brand new life they've been thrust into, again, on our own accord in a way, because we sat back and we didn't do anything really about it, and we just let ourselves get pushed around. Well, here we are. So things we probably should have thought about and had time to think about and sat back and thought about, well, we didn't. And now we're seeing the ramifications of that over the last few years. Obviously, there's endless amounts of stories with different positive and negative data when it comes to the things that people were forced to put in their bodies over the last few years. And another one with the Meta lawsuit that just came out, the Facebook lawsuit. A lawsuit alleges Meta exploited young users for profit. Again, when you have a society that it used to be the man just going to work, And then it was the woman having to go to work as well, just to afford the lifestyle. And then it was the man and the woman going to work and then paying down their savings and spending their savings. And then it was the man and the woman going to work, and they spent all their savings, and now they're out on credit card debt. What, $1 trillion, $2 trillion in credit card debt? We are out and rising. We have, what was it, 10 trillion in overall debt on the balance sheet we know for the U.S. government just 10, 15 years ago. Now we're at 33.5 trillion, just added 500 billion in the last couple of weeks. We're on an unsustainable exponential curve right now, and it just is going to continue to compound itself, and we're in for a tough time. And all of it has to do with breaking the currency. As Robert Kiyosaki has said so many times, the dollar ceased being money in 1971, really probably 1964, when you took the silver out of the coins in 64 and you took the gold out of the money in 71. You ceased having something that could be saved long term and hold someone's value. And that's why you see the average salary being $10,000 or $8,000, 50 years ago, or 60 years ago, and the average house being $10,000. You could, the median income could just buy straight up the median house. Now it ain't close to that. It's not close to that. The median income's $50,000, and the median house is $400,000. So we can see the problems here because of broken monetary systems and people saving in a currency, not money, a currency that's backed by nothing. So they're stealing your time and energy away through the monetary printing, through the broken monetary system, stealing your time and energy away. Because as we know, money is just a container for your time and energy. So what are you saving it? What are you trading your finite time for? Are you trading your finite time for something of equal value? The only other thing I know that's finite is one thing in the world. And you might guess it if you've been here for a while. It's Bitcoin. And again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to go buy Bitcoin. I'm just saying it's the only thing I know that's as finite as my time. It's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin, and I only have so much time on Earth. It's the only two things that are equally finite. That's it. I don't know anything else. Gold and silver, there's an inflation rate. Obviously, all fiat currencies, there's an inflation rate. There's an inflation rate to oil, to all commodities. So what are we doing? How are we going to heal the system? How are we going to put the purchasing power, time and energy back into people's lives so they can actually spend it on what's important in life? Not working, not a job. That's not the important part of life. That's not going to help us succeed in the eyes of God. It's not going to help us succeed at the highest levels and the higher being. Do you think the higher being, higher power put us here to just work a job, to go, slave away and just, break our back just for that? No, it's part of life, but that's not the point of life. That's not the reason of life. And we all know that. We all know that deep down. At the end of the day, that's why every person is trying to become financially free. That's why people are thinking about the weekend, and they're doing things to save away and go. Most people, 80, 90, 99% of people, if they had a choice, they had $100 million, or if they had 10,000 Bitcoin right now, would they show up at work tomorrow? You answer that for yourself, and that's what puts into perspective what's actually happening. And there's a saying, in Catholicism, again, of the only purpose you have in life is to get to heaven at the end of the day, and it has many meanings to that, obviously, but it's doing the right things no matter what. And we're all human. Every single one of us, from the Pope on down, is human. So we're all fallible. None of us are perfect. So we have to understand that. If that's our guidepost for doing what's right and what's going to get us to the ultimate end goal, because at the end of the day, you pass, and from dust you came, and to dust you shall return. You're not taking anything with you. And that's what helps us pick up our cross every day and lay down our life and do the right things, regardless of what's going on in the world. And honestly, in my opinion, if more people are doing that, we have a lot different life going on. It's all the insane things we see going on. So that's why I contend, again, these are my thoughts and my opinions of what's going on, all the things I've studied for the last 20 years plus of my life. Business, God, investing, high-level athletics, whatever it may be, and putting these things all together in a concoction. This is the only thing that makes sense to me. You take God out of society, and then the very next thing that goes is the money. You break those two things, and you're done as a society. The empires have fallen over and over and over again because that same recipe plays out over and over again. You take away humility, number one, and something bigger than you, and then you break the money quickly next after that, and you don't have a chance. Your empires, your society, your civility, your governance, your people, no chance. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Please share this out because the algorithm hates truth. Just can't stand truth. That's why we're on Rumble as well. We're on Spotify podcast as well. Our TikTok, if you're on their blog, go to our description in the blog for our blog as well, so you can see things there as well, the written versions. And I appreciate you being here and trusting but verifying for yourself as well. And I always love your opinions and your thoughts and the DMs I get, the comments I get, so I appreciate that. This is not financial advice. It is freedom advice. Question everything with boldness, even the existence of God himself. And I will see you on the next one.